Today, we are going to develop a web app for dating, like Tinder, where you can create your own dating profile, swipe through other profiles, get matches, and chat in real time. But the highlight is, with MERN.AI, we are going to develop all of this in less than 1 hour. To do that, we need to develop a user login, develop the user profile and signed in view, develop a dating feed with swipeable cards, and develop a real-time chat to talk with your matches. This is not exactly a Tinder clone that I'm trying to develop here. This video is more about how far you can develop in just under an hour on ModStack. So if you are a beginner to ModStack, I suggest you check out some YouTube tutorials and guides on starting development with ModStack. I have provided some links in the description below. So let's start. So we need to build a dating app. I'm going to do this very straightforward. My first intention is to let my users sign up and register on my platform. So I'm going to start with a landing page and user authentication feature first. To add a feature to a project, we can just use the AI chat box and ask whatever we want. Add a homepage feature. What happens is AI will choose from a collection of pre-built templates for a landing page and ask your approval. Now the feature is getting built to your project. It still says it's building here. Okay, it's done now. Let's reload to see the changes. Now we have a simple landing page. I will show how I can do some customizations like changing this title and description. I can copy the title text and paste it in the search tab to find where it is in the code. Then I can simply replace this to whatever I want. Find your partner today and hit save. Now I can see the changes I have made in the output right here. Let's change the description as well. Swipe, chat, and connect. Okay, now let's add a user sign up and log into our project. With MERN.AI, it's as easy as we added a homepage. Let's bring back the chat box. Add login feature. Now let's wait for the build to get completed. You can also use the AI to add a combination of features, like a dashboard with user login, or ask the AI to create a homepage with product listing, instead of doing one by one, like what we're doing now. So the output is now ready. Let's do a reload. There you have the sign in and sign up buttons. It's completely functional and we can try signing up with a user. John@example.com, some password, and register. So there you go, we registered a user and signed in within minutes. But for a dating app, this sign up form won't be enough. Let me log out first and show you how you can customize this sign up form. What we need to do is add more fields on the sign up form, like the gender of the user, their date of birth, and their interest, whether they like to date a male or a female. Customizing features on MERN.AI is so simple. Keep up with me here. Go to this sidebar and click on the feature you want to customize. Here we need to edit the user authentication feature. Inside, you can see multiple files, 3 for login and 3 for registration. We don't need to customize the login now, so we can leave it as it is. So to add more fields, we can open register.server.tsx. That is the backend file for signup. Inside this file, let me put this to auto. Inside this file, we can see that we are already collecting name, then username, I think that's the email, and password parameters. Here we need to add 3 more fields, date of birth, gender, and interest. After that, what we need to do is scroll down to find profile section inside the same backend file and add the new entries there as well. Then save the file and the backend work is done. Now open register.client.tsx, that is the front-end file. Here you can see different input tags for name, email, and password. So we will just make a copy of one of the inputs and paste it 3 times to create 3 more inputs. Before creating the other 2, let me just rename this to gender. Now let's make another copy for date of birth. And another one for interest. Let's save it Now we can see on the output tab that we added 3 more fields to collect gender, date of birth and interest of the user. But this input is not exactly what we need to collect date of birth and gender. So let's change the type of each input. Go to the gender input first and do some necessary changes. ID equals gender, HTML4 equals gender. Now it's not ideal to collect gender from an input box, right? So we'll change the input tag to select. Close the select tag. And since this is a select tag, we don't need type to be mentioned here. Inside a select, we need options for the user to choose from. For that, we can use the option tag to specify an option. We will mark the first option tag as selected. That means it will be selected by default. And I'm going to leave it blank. Now we can create 2 more options. One for male. We don't need these 2 to be selected. Value equals male. And the other one for female. Let's hit save and check the output. Now we got a select box with 2 options for male and female. Next, for the date of birth input, we need to change the HTML4 to DOB, ID to DOB, and change the type to date. That's it. You can give a placeholder if you want. Select a date. Hit save. And we got a nice looking date picker. Now let's do the last field, dating interest. Interest also requires a select field with options to choose either male or female. So I'm just gonna copy the select tag from gender and paste it inside here. Change the HTML4 to interest, ID to interest, and yes, hit save. We got another drop down menu for interest. So we got all the new fields visually ready. So what's left of it is the connection between this front end file and the backend file. The front end is built and ready. We also did some changes on the backend file. Now let's go to the third file. We call it the hook file. The hook file collects the data to and fro between the front end and backend files. Here 3 states are already defined for name, username, that is email, and password. So obviously we need to create 3 more states for the additional fields that we want. Then we need to change some things here. DOB, set DOB. Gender and set gender. Interest, set interest. Now below we can find some validation rules written for the first 3 fields. And we need to add 3 more just below. If not gender, say gender is required. Another one for DOB, date of birth is required. Last one for interest. Now below that, the same parameters are written again inside square brackets. We need to add the new parameters there as well. There is also a return function where we need to add these new entries. Finally, we have a try-catch block here. Inside the try block, when you call the register function, which is we are calling in the backend file here, we are already taking 3 more arguments. So we must pass these 3 inside this try-catch block in the same order as it's taken there. So DOB, gender, and interest, and hit save. Now for connecting this to the front end, that is the final part, go to the client.tsx file again, and inside the gender select box, change the value to hook.gender and change the onChange to hook.setGender. Similarly, you have to change value and onChange on the next 2 fields. Hook.dob, setDob. Hook.interest, hook.setInterest, and hit save. The integration is now complete. To check if the output is working as expected, we can go to the server.tsx file and create a new console.log there. The idea is that if you are registering as a new user, you can see if the additional details are collecting as expected on the terminal below. Let's create a test user. We will set the gender to female, set the date of birth to 16 Jan and interest to male. Now when I click on register, you can see the log here. Adding user details, and yes, there all the information that we just provided is shown correctly. That means we successfully integrated the front end and the back end. So the sign up form is now complete. So now we are collecting all the necessary information we want from the users. Welcome back to the series. We are developing a web app like Tinder in less than 1 hour. We already developed a beautiful user sign up and login in the last part. That means my users can onboard my app now. So in this part, we will be adding a user profile for the signed in user with all the data that we have collected when the user signed up. Then develop a signed in view for our app, where users can primarily see 3 tabs for profile, feed, and matches. Let's dive in. So first, we need to add a profile template to this project. We can ask the AI to add a profile feature. Click on confirm and let's wait for the build to get completed. It says the output is live. Let's give it a try. You can use this select box to view all the pages you have added so far. Yes, now we got ourselves a profile. Let's try adding a profile picture. Okay, so that's done. Next, we need to create a signed in view for our app. Like when the user is signed out, they should see the landing page. And when the user is signed in, they should see a dating feed. So this is a custom requirement and we don't have any template for it on MERN.AI at the time of this recording. So I'm going to manually code this blank feature. So from the features tab, I can click on this new feature button and create a blank feature. I'll name this to something I can relate to. Profile feed. Inside this new feature, I'm going to add a blank UI/React component file. I'll name this feed home. We can also give an alias for this new file. Let me give this at feed home. This alias helps when you want to mount this file to some other file. Now we have a new page with a hello world message. So we need to link this page to the home page first. So this is the home page people should see when they are logged out. But now user is logged in, so they must see the hello world page. For that, we can go inside the homepage feature and open home.client.tsx. There we need to mount the new page. We can use the areas we gave before. After that, what we want to do is, we will replace the contents between the header and footer here if the user is logged in. So let me create a new constant to collect the data from the logged in user. I can use the current keyword for that. Now in here, I will write a condition that if current.isAuthenticated equals to true, then show the feed homepage. Else, we will show the same div, that is the current landing page. So a quick recap, if the user is authenticated, then he will see the feed homepage. Else he will just see the landing page. Let's hit save and check. It says hello world message now. So if I log out, it will show the landing page. And if I sign in again, it will show whatever we write in the feed homepage. So instead of this hello world message, we need to bring the UI of the dating app. Here I will show you another way to fasten development with MERN.AI. Now I need to develop UI with 3 tabs for profile, feed and matches. And instead of developing it from the scratch, I can use AI to generate a code snippet for me for the UI. Let me clear this chat first. Then I can ask the AI, I need to develop an UI with 3 tabs on top center, namely profile, feed and matches, and send. Now we got a snippet for UI. So what I want to point out is that MERN.AI generates code that is very compatible with the rest of the code. So it's very easy to use the generated code inside any file you want without much hassle. So let's copy this, go to feed home.tsx and replace the entire content with this snippet. Click save and done. Let's refresh this page. Now we have 3 tabs for profile, feed and matches. How fast is that, right? And if you're logged out, you won't see these tabs, only the landing page. Now let's end this part by bringing in the profile feature that we added before into this profile tab we have here. For that, we need to import the profile feature into this feed home.tsx file. Then we can edit the AI generated code. Instead of this profile content message, we will call the profile feature. Hit save. Let's refresh and see. Now the profile page is here, but we got an additional header and footer that came with it. So let's remove that. We can go to the profile.client.tsx file inside the profile feature, and we will just remove the header tag and the footer tag from this file. Let's save it and check again. Now you see we don't have any extra headers or footers here. We can go to other tabs, we can see the profile and add profile picture. So yeah, that's it for this part. Now what we have left is the feed tab where you can see other people's dating profiles and swipe through profiles, and the matches tab where you can chat with your matches in real time. We already covered around 20 minutes in the 1 hour mark. Now we have 40 minutes to develop the rest of the app. In this part, we'll be developing a dating feed with swipeable user cards like this. So let me close all other files. Now inside the profile feed feature that we created in the last part, we can create a blank UI/React component file and name it feed. Now before starting any work, let's make this file appear inside the feed tab here. So open feed home.tsx, and instead of feed content message here, we can call feed. You can see here that the file has been automatically imported. So you can now save it. And this feed content will change into hello world. Now we can start developing the dating feed. We need to create one more file for the card UI because it's always better to keep things modular. So this file is for the Tinder like cards. We can go to, let's close the feed home now. We'll just go to the feed.tsx and replace this message. Let me name this to card UI. And we can call the card UI here. So whatever we do inside the card file will appear inside this division. Now we need a new UI for the Tinder like cards. So once again, we can use the AI to generate the UI again. Let me clear the chat first. create a card UI component like the Tinder card. We got a card snippet generated by AI. Let's copy this and paste it inside card UI.tsx file and hit save. Okay, now you can see the new UI here. We have a card title, action buttons, and description. But we definitely need to do some optimizations. We really don't need descriptions as we are not collecting it from the user. So let's remove it here. And we will change card title to full name, comma, age. Okay, so we got a good head start here with the UI, thanks to AI. Else we would have to develop all of this from scratch. Now I'm going to make this card swipeable. To make this card swipeable, we need to install an NPM library called React Tinder card. You can see how it works here. So let's install this library first. Copy the install prompt, go back to MERN.AI, paste it on the terminal, and hit enter. Now the library is getting installed to the project. Let's wait for it. It's done. Now let's import it in the card UI.tsx file. Import Tinder card from React Tinder card. Now let's wrap this div which holds the card UI with the Tinder card that we just imported. And save. Oh, there's an error. I think it needs one more library to work. Okay, so I think we need to install this as well, my bad. So let's go on and install that. Now the error is solved. Compilation is successful. Let me refresh this page and check if I am able to swipe this card. Yes, I can. Let me show this in preview mode. Swipe is working, but there is a huge blank space here. Let's fix it. Go to the code mode. This is the Tinder card, and where is this space coming from? Oh yeah, there's a head screen on this still. That must be the problem. Let's remove it and try. Head screen is a tailwind class to specify height. It's saved. Let's check again. Yeah, now it's gone. What's next? We need to pull all user profiles from the database and show different cards for each profile in the dating feed. So let's create a new backend file and name it list all profiles. So there is a function. We need to take the profile collection inside of it. Let's create a constant called profile collection and set value to data profiles. So now you must be wondering where I got the collection name from. I can use MongoDB Compass application to view my database. These are the two database collections that I have for this project. So that's where I got to call this profiles collection from. Now let's bring in all the profiles. Constant profiles equals profile collection dot, let me collapse this chat box for more, collection dot find to array. It's like a MongoDB API, so I'm going to put an await. So this means you will get all the profiles and we will return it here. This is a very simple collection where we will show all profiles. So let's see it in action. Let's save this file and go to field.tsx. And in here, we can create a new state. It's an empty state. And whenever the page gets loaded, we can use react.useEffect and call all the profiles inside of it. I forgot to import the backend file in here. Let me do that first. So now inside of react.useEffect, we can simply call this backend file. Then this is the promise which will contain the profiles. And what we will do is just call this function. This is just pure React, what I have written here. So now we get all the profiles here. Then what we must do is we need to map this to the card UI. So what I just did is we are creating X number of cards. X equals the number of user profiles. Let's save this and see what happens. We should ideally get 2 cards because we currently had 2 profiles. Yes, we got 2 cards. So now let's map the actual data to these cards. Give the name, age, and all. Once again, this is just plain React. Any React developer would know this. If you are finding it hard to follow, you can check out the basic React tutorials that I have given in the descriptions below. So there is an error here. It will go away when I go to cardui.tsx file and add props to it. So now that we got access to the data, instead of sample text, we can bring in the actual name of the user. First, we need to put in the string, and we can map the actual name from the database using $data.key. We can check the key using MongoDB Compass. It's called name. So data.name. Let's hit save and check the output. Yes, so it's John and test user. We created these 2 profiles in the beginning. So we successfully mapped the name of each user to the cards. Now if we go to the preview mode, you can see that the cards are arranged vertically, one after the other. But what we need is for the cards to be stacked on top of each other. So let's do that. Go to cardui.tsx, and for the Tinder card wrapper, add a new tailwind class, absolute. It is a positioning class which is good for stacking contents without being relative. Now if you check the preview, you can see that the cards are stacked on top of each other, but it's out of place. So let's go back to port 1 again and open feed.tsx. For this div, we can add a tailwind class for width 320 px and height 500 px. Let's check it again. Now it's perfectly in place, and this is what we want. Now what's left for this part is to map the rest of the data to this card UI, that is the user age and profile picture. So let's do that. First, let's do the age. Go to port mode, cardui.tsx. We can create a new constant for age, and using react.useMemo, we can call the age of all users from the database. You can check the key using MongoDB Compass. It's called DOB. So data.dob. Now what we are going to do is write an if condition to show the age from the date of birth of the user. So first we need to import the moment library to this file. Then we can write the logic to find the age of the user from their date of birth. So what this function does is, if the user has provided a date of birth, then this if condition will compare the date with today's date and find the age using difference. This else condition handles any user without date of birth and returns the age as -1. You can always avoid this scenario by not making a date of birth optional during sign-up. Now let's replace the dummy age text to $age and check the output. So the age is now shown as 0 because we added the current date as the date of birth during sign up. Let me change it from the database. So if I update year of birth to 2000 and save, then age is 23. John doesn't have a date of birth, so it's -1. So yeah, that's done. Now let's map the profile picture. To do that, we have to import the image backend into this card UI.tsx file. You can get the image backend from the user profile feature here. There's a get image function right here. So let's import get image server. Now what we will do is convert this image function server to src. For that, we can create a new constant image src equals create src, and we will pass the backend here. Next, we can replace the src value here to image src dot get link, and inside this parenthesis we can pass the image name. We can refer the database again for the name. It's profile image id. Let's pass it here and hit save. There you have it, the uploaded profile picture. But we got some additional width issue there. Let's fix that issue. Go into the code. Here you can see the image, and we have a width full plus here. We can change it to somewhere around 208 dpx and save it. Now the width will be fixed. And now the dating feed is presentable. So that's it for this part. We developed a dating feed, we developed a swipeable user cards, we pulled all the profiles from the database, and we mapped all the actual data from the database. All this within 12 minutes max. So in this part, we will be optimizing the dating feed that we have created in the last part. That means we have to write logics on what profiles should show up on each user's feed based on their preferences and settings. First, we need to handle swipes, like what happens when a user swipe right on a card and what happens when they swipe left. Second, restrict the same user from showing up on their feed, like we shouldn't be able to swipe ourselves, right? And third, restrict already shown cards from showing up again. And last, restrict cards according to the user interest, like whether they would like to see male cards or female cards on their profile. So let's start by handling swipes. We need to create a backend file for the swipe logic. Let's name it handle swipe. So we need to do two things in this file. First one, we need to take the profile ID here. It should be a string, and the direction should also be a string. After that, we can create a new constant and call it swipe collection equals data swipes. Once we have that, we need to get the current user ID. So another constant user ID equals, it's a string ctx dot current user dot id. Now we can write the code to update the database on each swipe. So inside this set, I'm going to mention whatever key items I need to have in the database with each swipe. We need to store the user ID, profile ID, and action. But we haven't wrote the condition for an action yet, so we can write it just above here. Constant action, we can write the condition here. If the direction equals left, then declined. Else, store the value as accepted. So what we did here is that when we do a swipe, that is when we do an action, we will add a new field to the swipe collection in the database, where we store the user ID, profile ID, and what action it was for each swipe. Save the file and let's go make the changes in the front end. Now we can go to cardui.tsx, and inside the Tinder card class, we can add an onSwipe. OnSwipe is a prop we get from the Tinder card library that we installed in the last part. And inside of it, what we will do is, we will call the handle swipe server file, the file that we just created just now. And we will pass the profile ID and direction. And save. Let's give it a try. So let's open MongoDB Compass and we can see that we currently have two collections here. Now let's give the swipe a try. Swipe right. And yes, a new collection got created for swipes. And inside we are collecting user ID, profile ID, and action that says accepted, which is right because we swiped right. So let's go on and swipe left on a card and check back on the DB. It's stored as declined. So we have handled swipes accurately. So next on the list, we need to restrict the current user from showing up on their feed. So for that, I have added 10 random users. Right now I am signed in as Mia Parker and I shouldn't be seeing myself on my feed. So let's correct that. Open code mode, go to list all profiles server, and let's get the current user here. Constant current user equals ctx dot current user. That's it, simple. Now inside profile here, we can write the logic to exclude the current user from the feed. And save. Let's check it out. Go to preview, do a reload, and it's not supposed to show Mia Parker. Yes, it is not. So that's done. The user won't see his or her profile on the feed anymore. Now for the third item on the list. Once we swiped a profile, either left or right, the same card should not appear again on the feed. So let's do that. First, let me delete all the test entries inside the swipes collection, so there would be none. And delete. Okay, now I'm going to swipe Isabella Taylor to the right. And when I reload the page, the same profiles shows again, right? See, it should not. So let's fix that. Go to code, and inside the same list all profiles server file, we have to take swipe collection and swiped profiles. So constant swipe collection equals data. Here we have to fill in the key. We can check the database for it. Swipes. Next, we can take the swiped profiles list here. So now that we have taken the list of swipe profiles by the current user, next we can write the logic to exclude the swipe profiles from the feed. So that's it. Now let's save it and check if it works. Yes, we already swiped Isabella Taylor, so she's not on the feed. Let's swipe Harper and check if she appears again. Nope, so that's done. Next and final item on the list is to restrict the feed to show profiles according to the user interest. That is, if the user interest is set to male, then it should only show, the feed should only show male profiles, and vice versa. So I am currently Mia Parker, and during sign up, I had the option to select my dating interest. If we look at the database, Mia Parker has set gender to female and dating interest to male. But right now she is able to see female profiles as well, which she doesn't want to. So let's go back to list all profiles server and we want to exclude profiles based on gender. For that, we need to fetch the current user profile from the database to this file. Then we can simply call the current user's interest using current user profile dot interest. That's it. Let's save the file and check. Refresh the page. And yes, we are only seeing male profiles because our interest is set to male. That's it. We optimized the feed to behave similar to how Tinder does. In this part, we will be adding a real-time chat to this project and place it inside the matches tab. And we got to do some optimizations there as well. Then we will integrate the swipe logic with matches so that every common swipe will create a match and start a conversation thread as well. So let's start by adding a real-time chat to this project. We can bring back the AI assistant and let me clear this and ask the AI to add the chat feature to this web app. So MERN.AI has a functional real-time chat template that you can add instantly and customize any way you want. Let's wait for the build to get completed. I'm actually grateful that I don't have to develop this chat components entirely. Like how much time would it take, right? So I think I'm really grateful with the templates that MERN.AI has to offer. It's done now. So if I go to the chat page, I can actually start chatting with other users of this app. Let's start a conversation with Liam Bennett. So I have sent a message. Now let's sign in as Liam on another browser to check if I got the message. I have received the message here from Mia Parker. Now let me send another text to Liam. It works and it works fast. I can send back and forth. It works perfectly and in real time. I was just giving you a little demonstration. Now let's bring in this chat feature as part of the Matches tab. Currently this chat feature has its own page and URL. You can see that here. We don't need it that way. To remove that, simply go to app.json file and remove these entries related to chat. And save. Now you won't be able to see the separate chat page. It is not mapped to any UI. So we can bring it inside our Matches tab. To do that, we can open the real-time chat feature and here we can see lots of files. Open chat.client.tsx, that is the front-end file. So we need to import this chat feature into the home page. Inside the Matches tab, when you look at it, we need to replace this message. So let's use the search tab to quickly find where the message is and replace the message with chat. Hit save. And refresh. Okay, now the entire chat window is inside this tab. We need to do some cleaning up here, like we don't need the header first. Go to chat.client again and remove the header tag. Now it's gone, but we have some issues with the width. So let's try giving a specific width and hit save. Now it looks good. Next, we have this plus button as part of the template. We don't need it for our dating app, so we can remove that. To do that, we can go to chat threads. It is inside the components folder. Here, instead of your chats, we can replace it to your matches. Then we can look for the plus button to remove. Let's hide the assistant for now. It's taking so much of our space. Where is it now? There we have the blank state message that says add contacts to start conversation. Let's remove that. We don't need it. Just below that, you can see the plus button that comes with the blank state. Remove that as well. And we can replace the no contacts to show message to no matches to show. Now we have one more plus button to find and delete. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Hit save. Let's open it in a new page and see the output. Looking good. We already have one conversation, but we cannot create any more conversations as we like. So let's remove this thread. We just created it for testing. See, you can already see the new collections related to the chat feature in our database. Let's remove the message threads collection and the swipes collection as well. Now the profile is fresh as ever, no matches to show. Next, we need to integrate the swipes to matches. As in, if two users, user A and user B, swipe right on each other, then a new match should get created. And a new conversation thread should also get created for them so they can chat. To do that, go to handle swipe server.tsx. Let's close all other tabs. We are already getting this much details about the current user's swipe action. We can create a new constant called matching swipe to collect the swipe details of the second user or user B. Now to do that, we need to collect the user ID of the second user, and we can get that from his or her profile ID. So let's create another constant, current user profile. We need to take the profile collection to this file. So let's do that first. And profile collection. Inside of it, we will get the user ID of the second user. User ID equals ctx.current_user.id. So what we did now is that we took user B's profile ID first, and from there we got his or her user ID. Next, we need to take the profile ID of user A. So now we have both swipe profile and current user profile. With that, we can cross check whether these two profiles had liked each other or not. And the action should be accepted. Now with that done, if there is a matching swipe, then we should create a conversation thread for user A and user B. we can steal that part of code to create a conversation thread from the chat feature itself. So go inside real-time chat feature, then open create message thread server file. Now we can copy the entire logic for creating a thread from this file and paste it inside the match condition. So I think everything's done here. We need to import moment. And declare the recipient IDs as well. So we don't need multiple recipients or group chats. So we'll just intercept it to create a single thread only. Now that's done, but before we do a test, we can make this like and dislike button work as well. So go inside cardui.tsx, that's where the buttons are. I am thinking of adding an on click to these buttons because we want to make changes to the entire card component on button click. So we can pass a prop on each buttons, props.dislike and props.like. And now we have to address these props on component level. Let's go to feedui.tsx file, and in here we can address those props and what must happen to this component on click. But honestly, I think there is a much better way to do this. Sorry guys, I think we can ditch this method and go back to cardui.tsx again and address this in the buttons itself using arrow functions. So what we can do is we simply call this handle swipe server inside the arrow function, and instead of direction we can simply say left for dislike and right for like. That's done. We got one more thing left, that whenever a button is clicked, the card should get removed from the stack, right? So we can go to feed.tsx, and in here we can combine both like and dislike, and whenever either of these buttons is clicked, the card on top should get removed from the stack. So we can save this and we can call this function inside the buttons. And in here we can call index, and whenever a button is clicked, the card on top must get removed. Now everything's done. Let's run a test. We don't have any swipe collection in the database. Let's go to preview mode, refresh the page, and I'm going to click dislike on Oliver. Let's check the database if it is recorded. So there is a swipe collection added as declined. Let's try one more, like Ethan and like Lucas as well. But if I go to the matches tab, I cannot see anything, obviously, because they might have not liked us back. So now we are signed in as Mia Parker, and we also have Lucas's account right here on another browser. Let me do a refresh, and let's like Mia Parker. Now if we go to the matches tab on either of their profile, we can see a conversation thread there because both of them liked each other, so they can start chatting. Hey, how are you? So that's it. There you have it. A dating web application with login, profile, swipeable user feed, matches tab, and real-time chat. Did I do this in 1 hour? I think I'm pretty close. So this is how fast and easy it is to create a web app using MERN.AI. You don't need to gather around 10-15 engineers and spend 6+ months to develop web apps anymore.
Like I said in the beginning, this app is not exactly a clone of Tinder. But if you're willing to spend a couple of hours more, you can actually make it exactly like a replica of Tinder or Facebook or Uber or whatever you can dream of. So shoot out your questions, let us know your feedbacks, and definitely subscribe to our channel because we'll be showing more about MERN.AI in the coming days. If you're a developer, go check out MERN.AI and you can download the desktop app for free and develop anything you want without spending a single penny. If you are not a developer, you can also hire our expert developers for just $8 per hour. Go to our website and check it out. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.